This just in, YouTube channel verification requirements in 2020 are going to change, and it's gonna be upsetting influencers and creators on the platform. Discover what the new requirements entail and why it's gonna be upsetting creators. Coming up. Hey, what's going on, heroes? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Nathan Olson, and in today's video, we're gonna be going over what exactly has changed about the YouTube verification requirements and what you need to fulfill in order to get verified in 2020. Now, prior to this, YouTube had a verification process that was extremely simple. If you had over 100,000 followers or subscribers on your YouTube channel and you simply applied for the verification, you got a verified checkmark. But this actually had a great negative impact on YouTube's overall branding and even their ad revenue. The problem was that people look at the verified checkmark as a sense of endorsement by YouTube, not a sense of identity for the content creator or the YouTube channel. Now, this endorsement works in two ways. It's beneficial when your content creator is creating positive content and uplifting audience members and bringing new audience to the platform. However, there's also a drastically negative impact. These endorsements can also be attributed to high-ranking YouTube channels that put out negative content, malicious content that's aimed at attacking specific people, minority groups, and or suppressing other people's freedoms and or rights. Now, YouTube might not have any specific affiliation or sponsorship for these specific channels, but because of the way that the verified checkmark is interpreted by other people, including big companies, there is a sense of endorsement behind the YouTube verified checkmark in other people's eyes. And because of this, companies and other individuals that market their products and or their channels on YouTube started pulling their ads. That means millions of dollars worth of ad revenue is pulled away from YouTube and creators like you and myself. Now, this had a great impact on YouTube. It saw the amount of negative backlash that was created just by simply verifying any account. And because of that, they've started to refine their verification process in order to ensure it's a little bit more difficult in order to get a verified channel. Because if you simply have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you used to get verified. Which, let's be honest, it's not an easy feat to accomplish, but still, that seems like a simple requirement in order to get verified on the second biggest search engine on the internet. And because of this, we've looked at other social platforms like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All of them require significantly more requirements in order to get verified on those platforms than YouTube does. And YouTube saw this and they took action. So in late of 2019, YouTube released an article saying that they're going to change the YouTube requirements in order to get verified. Let's take a look at what it takes in order to get verified on YouTube in 2020. In order to reduce the idea that YouTube is endorsing specific content creators and YouTube channels, they're changing the way the YouTube verified badge looks. It's no longer going to be a gray checkmark right next to the YouTube channel name. Instead, they're going to highlight the YouTube channel name in a gray box. It's going to look very similar to the way that it looks when you comment on your own video. Now on YouTube, I still see check marks going about, and they've announced that they are going to release it in 2020, but there is no update as to when this new effect is going to roll out, but it still looks like there's check marks all across the platform. Now, you still need 100,000 YouTube subscribers in order to get verified in 2020, but there's two additional requirements you need to fulfill before you get verified. Authenticity. Now, when it comes to authenticity, YouTube is ensuring that you are who you say you are. We've talked about this in other verified social channel videos, and essentially the verification badge is kind of like a social identity theft negator. And what do we mean by that? Well, social identity theft is huge on all these social media platforms because there's no specific negative repercussion for stealing a popular creator's identity and going around and destroying their brand or trying to amass some type of influence in order to maliciously attack your audience. Now, this happens all the time. Copycat accounts are on all social media platforms. And in order to ensure the authenticity of the platform and in order to ensure the trust in the community, these social media platforms have started coming out with verification badges in order to ensure that you are who you say you are. You can get verified through your phone number, legal documents, and a variety of other methods, but the authenticity is what they're trying to ensure. So if you have a specific name for a YouTube channel and you don't have any business or branding outside of that to prove that you are a legal corporation, an LLC, a brand, or a business, or even if your YouTube channel is a surname and not specifically related to your real name, it can be difficult in order to get verified on that platform because those fake companies, those fake personas, they're not real individuals, they're not real entities, and you need to be able to incorporate them, build them up as a brand, or create some type of legal entity that it exists outside of the YouTube platform. Because there's too many accounts on YouTube that are specifically just made up fake accounts, and in order to combat against that, they're rolling out this new authenticity requirement. The second requirement is going to be prominence. Now, this is very similar to notability on Instagram and Facebook's requirement. Essentially, YouTube wants people to be influential outside of their platform. And why is that exactly? Well, if you look at it from a business standpoint, if you only amass a popularity on the YouTube platform itself, you're not really drawing in new audience members. Your entire audience exists on YouTube itself, and therefore you kind of reached your profit potential in YouTube's eyes. Therefore, in order to ensure that YouTube is consistently growing in their monthly subscribers and new audience members are jumping on every month, they are looking for influencers who have influence on other platforms like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Or even if you have public PR that's positive, you could have news articles on specific blogs, you could have a website that highlights your specific talents and expertise. And these can be great ways in order to showcase to YouTube that you have influence outside of the platform. But there's a problem with this. A lot of YouTube creators and YouTube stars got big on YouTube. That's where their audience lives, and that's where they've been hosting their brand for the past 10 years. Look at Vine stars. When Vine died, they all moved to YouTube. They took all of their branding and essential audience with them over to YouTube, and that's where they've been cultivating their culture and creating their brand as a whole. Now, this new requirement could create turbulence for a lot of YouTube creators, and we saw that in a lot of backlash out on Twitter, Instagram when YouTube announced this, even in the comments of specific blogs. And what this means is that YouTube creators are a little angry that there's going to be this new prominence piece as a requirement for their verification because they've amassed their audience and their entire brand on YouTube. So it seems a little unfair to ask them to look for audiences elsewhere when they've built their entire brand on YouTube. But for other influencers and creators, this won't be a typical problem because a lot of us have been able to establish our brand across all networks in order to diversify our risk. Now, these two requirements are going to add a significant level of security to the YouTube verification requirements because not everyone's going to be able to pass through this. And that's exactly what YouTube wants. They want to approve and verify YouTube accounts that bring real value, are real entities or real brands or real people outside of the platform that can amass an audience and create positive content. YouTube no longer wants to be looked at as endorsing these specific creators or specific YouTube channels, and instead they want individuals to focus on the identity behind these specific YouTube channels or creators. After all, the popularity that YouTube is able to generate is because of all the fantastic creators like you and myself putting out content on a regular basis. Without us, YouTube would just be an empty search platform with no content being able to push to new audiences. Another requirement that YouTube is going to be focusing on is that your channel needs to be complete. Now, this seems kind of simple because if you've been able to amass 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you probably already have an about section, a header picture, a profile pic, and some linking social media or website links in your YouTube channel. But if you don't already, or you haven't put any of that stuff in place and you're still climbing to the 100,000 subscriber mark, I implore you to take time to create some effective imagery as well as some effective profile pictures because they can really help boost conversions and follows across the platform. Now, the YouTube verification process is going to be a little bit different now. Before you had to apply to get verified, now YouTube is going to be doing all verification to any channel above 100,000 subscribers. Now, if you've had any community guideline strikes or it seems like your account is impersonating another individual or brand, YouTube will not verify your account and they could take necessary action further, meaning you could get blacklisted or even have your account shut down. Now, for already verified YouTube channels that have over 100,000 subscribers but maybe can't fulfill these new requirements, YouTube is still allowing you to remain verified and to keep your verified checkmark. However, they are going to be doing routine checks in order to ensure that you are still putting out great content, still putting out value, and maybe if you've even fulfilled some of these requirements further. So that's all for this video, guys. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. Make sure to stay tuned for any of the other verification videos. I'm sure you're going to enjoy them. And if you need any help or you need to ask me a question, feel free to drop them in the comment section down below. I love helping you guys out and would be happy to take 5 minutes to talk with you guys. If you got any help out of this video, any value at all, make sure to drop a like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out a lot, and it only takes 2 seconds. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Stay tuned to the next one, and I'll see you.